Finally, you've come across a channel that you can trust. This is Bridger PT, I'm Shane Bridger, the People's Coach, and this is the only fat loss tutorial you will ever need. Welcome ladies and gents. If you haven't rung the bell already, make sure you do so you always stay up to date when I'm posting and you know what's coming next. But for today, as promised, let's get into the fat loss video. We have a couple of topics to cover, everything from what is a calorie, TDEE, macronutrients, diets don't work, we'll get there, and exercise of course. I know it sounds daunting, but don't worry, I got you. I'm going to make it really simple, cover these topics, and you'll be good to go right after the video. First on the list, what is a calorie? A calorie is a unit of energy. So we measure calories by saying 1 calorie equals 1 unit of energy. We get this from our food and drinks, and this is where things get interesting. How do calories actually make us fat? Well, calories are converted into energy in the body and used for things like exercise, moving around, and then there is your normal BMR, which I'll touch on in a second. So how do we actually break all of this information down so you can understand what it does? Here we go. TDEE. 4 simple letters that might just change your life forever. Breaking it down, I've drawn you a nice little picture to get yourself acquainted with. Now, like I said, BMR. Let's touch on that for a second. What is your BMR? Your BMR is your basal metabolic rate. Simply put, it's your body using energy while you do nothing. That's right, from sitting on the couch to sleeping, your body is using energy. And the shocking part is that this accounts for up to 70% of our daily energy usage. Because BMR sits so high, that is why it is ultimately important to not ignore your calories in versus your calories out. And we'll expand on this by simply saying 30% of the rest of what you do in a day, including exercise, is going to account for the rest of your calories. First up, we have your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This can account for up to 10% of your total daily energy expenditure. What is it? Well, walking around, playing with the dogs, not taking the elevator, taking the stairs, moving around at your job, walking from desk to desk. These movements are excluded from exercise as they're not intended to be exercise. So basically it's you just moving around in the day. Up next, at around another 10% of your total daily energy expenditure, is the thermic effect of food. That's right, you actually burn calories, not simply just by eating food, but by digesting food. Your body then breaking down the macronutrients that come in, using that as energy to fuel you for what you are doing in the day, and then obviously to store that energy as well, if you don't happen to use it. Alright, here comes the real kicker, because I know people are going to be asking about this one. Exercise activity thermogenesis accounts for as little of 10 to 5%. Now, why do I actually say 5%? A little known fact about exercise is that the more and more you exercise, the fitter you get and the more capable your body becomes of dealing with what you put it through in the gym or running or walking or whatever it may be that is your exercise routine. The sad part about it is that your body becomes better at regulating that energy process. So it doesn't actually need as much to burn because it's used to it. So using exercise as a tool, number 1, for fat loss, and number 2, to actually create a caloric deficit is quite a silly little plan, because as you can see, 5 to 10% is not going to make much of a difference. It's not even guaranteed. Okay, so now that we've touched on what goes out, it's important to know what should come in. That's where we get to my next topic. Macronutrients. What are they? Well, protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Only 3 of them, and they break down all of the food groups that we can choose from. Protein is going to be our star of the show here, which I'll touch on why in a second. But if you're wanting to know how much protein, 1.2 to 1.6 kilograms of body weight is perfectly fine for any normal adult. So, carbs and fats. A big topic of debate in the health and fitness industry. The realistic part is that the scientific evidence shows us that it doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't. What really does make a difference is a caloric deficit. So carbs and fats, whatever's remaining, split it. Eat more carbs, eat less fat, eat less carbs, eat more fat. It's really not going to matter too much. What I can say on that topic is that I use my carbs to fit a purpose. So if I'm looking for energy for a workout, post-workout, glycogen recovery, those kinds of things, I'll eat different types of carbs. What also comes from carbs is fiber, very important. So to completely ignore one of them is silly. Once again, a balanced diet is a good diet. Fats, this is good for organ health, organ protection, brain health, that kind of stuff. So your fats typically, coming from fish, omega-3, 6 and 9s, steak, that kind of stuff, also can't ignore it. Once again, balance is key. Okay, you've probably heard the next one about 1,000 times. However, I do need to touch on it. Prioritize protein. So there's a few good reasons why we should prioritize protein. First of all, protein is filling. Therefore, it can keep you fuller for longer, and it actually has quite a low energy value. In terms of energy, protein and carbs have 4 calories per gram. However, fats have 9. So eating protein can keep you fuller for longer, and it has a low energy value. Growth and repair. Protein can be broken down into amino acids, and this can help repair the body on a cellular level. Muscle recovery. Now we all know the feeling that we get after a gym session, that day or two afterwards when you're stiff and you're sore. Upping your protein intake can help the recovery process. I'm sorry to tell you, but diets don't work. I don't care what fake PhD personal trainer is pushing them to you, because trust me, they're pushing them to you to sell them, but they don't work. I'm going to show you why. Well, we've all been there. What do diets cause? Restrictions. So we cut out certain food groups, we cut out pleasure, we cut out leisure items, and that equals cravings at the end of the day. Oftentimes diets limit you with what you have to eat, if not all the time. And let's say you have a friend over, you go out somewhere, and there is something that you like in front of you. You can't have it. You're going to feel left out. Once again, the restrictions causes a craving. Then you're going to be lacking essential nutrients. Probably the worst part about diets is that they often cut out important food groups and they sacrifice that so you can lose weight. That's just defeating the purpose. Lastly, as I'll explain this very well drawn graph here at the bottom, diets often start well. They start very well, in fact. But more often than not, we have fall off. And I've been through it dozens of times where clients come to me and they say, "Hey Shane, yeah, I tried keto for a while, man. Hey Shane, I tried paleo and This is why I'm here. I'm trying to help, I'm trying to educate. So let's learn together. Like I said, excellently drawn graph at the bottom for you. Here we can see the average, more or less, example of a fat loss journey that most people will go on. In fact, most people that I help have been through this journey themselves. Let's say you weigh 100 kilograms at the start. Now let's use an example and maybe make it keto. Okay, let's cut out all the carbs in our life and enjoyment. And what's going to happen? We lose weight very quickly. I've lost so much weight. Woo! This is so good. Week 1 has been amazing. Guess what? It's water. You've lost water. You've probably lost little to no fat. You've lost water. Carbs actually hold water in the body. And when you cut carbs out, you therefore lose water. By week 2, you probably get to the point where you're still going and you're dropping weight still quite well, but it's slowed down a little bit, which is to be expected. And maybe at this point you're starting to lose a bit of energy and you're starting to get a little bit of the cravings and, certain things start stepping in, which brings me to my next point. Plateau. Now, week 3 comes, we've basically hit a fat line. And when this happens, people get disinterested, people get disheartened, and kind of where things go a bit belly up. I've stopped losing weight, I've got no energy because my calories are so low, I'm not eating carbs, I've got nothing to enjoy in my life. And just like a late night drunk text to your ex, rebound sets in. Oh, it sets in so hard. You engorge and you eat everything that is in front of you. You just want to shove in your face. And, well, this is where we fall off the bus once again. As I mentioned before, I'm pretty sure most of you can relate to this. Restrictions cause cravings. Now, growing up as a young boy, I was always told by my mom that moderation is key. Well, that leads me to my next point. Balance is key. You see, people want to jump in the deep end when they haven't quite learned how to swim. And once again, this is why I'm here today, to try and help you. Giving you the free information that is already out there, you can really start making positive improvements in your life. Enough exercise to make you feel good, live longer, be healthier, happier, and just feel better waking up in the morning. And the right foods, most of the time, so that you can drop off the fat that you don't need, keep the fat that you do need. Yes, some is good. And hopefully this will make you a healthier, happier person. When it comes down to brass tacks, the fitness industry is unfortunately filled with So next time you hear a sales pitch from a trainer or a coach or whatever it may be, remember, balance is key. If it sounds too good to be true, it's definitely not true. And lastly, that if it is unbalanced and it cuts out a lot of things, it's obviously a gimmick. It's not going to work. We have all these foods available to us, we have all these routines available to us because they're there to use and they're there for a purpose. So when you start cutting things out and you limit your day-to-day life based on what some said on Instagram or TikTok, you really just already start making poor decisions. Now, if you take anything away from today's video, please let it be this. Balance is key. If we take our food intake versus our exercise, if your food intake is 80% good choices, high protein intake, don't consume the whole packet of chips, watching you. Calories in versus calories out, increasing your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, move around more, walk the dog, play with your girlfriend or your wife, have more be more active. And if you decrease your restrictions, so rather if you want to have a treat, go to a braai, barbecue, whichever country you're in, and you want to have that, adjust for the calories, count them, see what's coming in versus what's going out, and make a good choice. Eat the high protein stuff, maybe have a drink or two. Limit what you're gonna do, but still be a part of the club. And lastly, you exercise. Just enough to improve your health, your life expectancy, daily mood, and strength. And all of this will give us a balanced lifestyle. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, ring the bell. There will be a lot more coming your way.